So the Crunchyroll Anime Awards aired over the weekend, and it's not as bad as last year's at least, although that's not saying much. There were tons of great anime that took some much deserved awards home, while others came out of nowhere for a surprise victory, and I'm gonna go through all of it. Now the way I'm gonna do this is I'll name the category, list the nominees, and name the winner, and then I'll give my thoughts for that category. And remember, Lord of Mysteries and To Be Hero X weren't eligible because they are donghua and Crunchyroll only counts anime. And one last thing before we begin. I put off watching Mononoke the movie chapter 2 because I'm waiting for the series to end, and I skipped Rose of Versailles because I'd rather watch the original. I also haven't seen Digimon Beat Break because it's still airing. But aside from those, I have seen every anime nominated throughout the awards, and they all ranged from good to amazing. There were no bad anime nominated. There were some bad nominations, but I'll cover that later. So don't think I'm criticizing a winner because I disliked it. And let's get this started. Anime of the Year. Let's start with the biggest award. The nominees were The Apothecary Diary Season 2, Dandadan Season 2, Gachiakta, My Hero Academia Final Season, The Summer Hikaru Died, and Takabe's Original Sin. And the winner was My Hero Academia Final Season. This was not a surprise based on popularity alone, but it was also a fantastic final season. It perfectly wrapped up almost every plot thread and looked beautiful doing it. I really just think Takabe's Original Sin deserved this more though. I've never watched an anime that destroyed me as emotionally as that one did. And it was fantastic across the board as well. Either way, this was a tough battle, and I'm just glad one of my top two got the award. Next up is the Anime Film of the Year. The nominees were 100 Meters, Chainsaw Man the Movie Reze Arc, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1, Mononoke the Movie Chapter 2, The Rose of Versailles, and Scarlet. And the winner was Demon Slayer. Again, I wasn't really surprised, and I myself did think this was the best anime movie in the way the medium tells stories, can easily be split into episodes, and is an obvious part 1 of the larger anthology. Chainsaw Man, on the other hand, was my top pick because it went beyond the limits of the medium and was just a fantastic movie, fully telling its own story you can go in blind on, and feels complete in its own way. It also completely changed my outlook on the franchise, with which I thought the first season was overrated. But I do want to take a moment to point out some of these nominees. Because why is Scarlet here? I mean, it looked fantastic, but the writing was either boring or bad, and the male MC was probably the most annoying character of the year. There had to be better options for nominees. Anyway, moving on with the best continuing anime series. The nominees were Dandadan Season 2, Kaiju No. 8 Season 2, My Hero Academia Final Season, One Piece, Solo Leveling Season 2, and Spy Family Season 3. And the winner was One Piece. This wasn't a surprise, and if I'm remembering right, I think this award usually goes to One Piece. And to its credit, the second part of Egghead Island was fantastic, with plenty of spectacularly wacky fights and big reveals. It also came back from the 6-month break in April, so fans were foaming at the mouth to finally get more of it. I did expect My Hero to have a chance though, with how incredible of an ending it had, but I'm fully supportive of this win. The best new series nominees were Cleavatess, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Gachiakta, Sakamoto Days, The Summer Hikaru Died, and Takabe's Original Sin. And the winner was Gachiakta. And this is where I was first taken aback. Look, Gachiakta was a good anime, even great in a couple aspects like the art style. But aside from a couple of the arcs, the writing is generic and the characters are even more so. We are given so little backstory or reason to care about the characters that the most popular one is a villain whose entire presence is plain vibes. This was simply won by too few people watching anything outside of the mainstream, and it's such a shame. Because Gachiakta isn't even top 3 from these nominees, let alone out of all of the new series that came out. This was just the first in a line of awards that Takabe's Original Sin got completely and wrongfully snubbed in. For Best Original Anime, the nominees were Apocalypse Hotel, Digimon Beat Break, Lazarus, Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quux, Moonrise, and Zenshu. And the winner was Lazarus. This had to be one of the funniest awards because Lazarus was almost wholly considered mid the entire time it was airing. I thought it was pretty good myself, but the general populace didn't, so I can only chalk this up to, again, lack of viewers on the other anime. Because Apocalypse Hotel was such an underrated gem and clearly deserved this. Even Zenshu was a much better choice than Lazarus between the better writing and better visuals. I do want to point out that Moonrise being here is also confusing because that was generally disliked, so I think they just ran out of anime to nominate, which says more about them than the original anime that aired. Best Animation was a tough battle with the nominees Dandadan Season 2, Gachiakta, My Hero Academia Final Season, One Piece, Solo Leveling Season 2, and Takabe's Original Sin. And the winner was Solo Leveling Season 2. Now I want to say that all of these anime looked great, and at the minimum had incredible moments of animation. But most are just that, moments that look fantastic, and the rest of the time it looks about average in terms of animation. My Hero Final Season and Takabe's Original Sin, though, were peak animation from the first frame to the last, and it's a shame Solo Leveling took it over the others. Now, this was a category I expected it to win in, though, because if it doesn't win something to do with the visuals, it's just not going to win anything. It's just a shame it took an award from more deserving nominees. Up next is the Best Character Design, and the nominees were The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, Dandadan Season 2, Gachiakta, My Dress-Up Darling Season 2, One Piece, and Takabe's Original Sin. And the winner was Gachiakta. This was another one I think Gachiakta stole because of two reasons. First, most of the characters are slight twists on a plain white uniform. Second, I think the art style is what won this, not the character designs. It was just the most unique looking, so everyone jumped on that choice. But you can't seriously tell me the Apothecary Diaries didn't have the best looking character designs by a mile. Most of the other nominees are simply reliant on their art styles, like Takabe's Original Sin, which is basically normal kids. Most of One Piece is simple clothing, aside from Freedom Bonnie, that was awesome. My Dress-Up Darling are mostly basic clothing or cosplays, and Dandadan is basic fashionable clothing or school clothes. The Apothecary Diaries was unique, highly detailed, and creatively captivating, and totally deserved this. The Best Director is next, and I'll show the names but read the anime titles just so I don't butcher them. The nominees were The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, Dandadan Season 2, Gachiakta, My Hero Academia Final Season, The Summer Hikaru Died, and Takabe's Original Sin. And the winner was The Apothecary Diaries Season 2. I can't be mad at this because they did fantastic work, and it's always impressive what they can do when your source material is a light novel instead of a manga. I probably would have put it in third here though, because a lot of the heavy lifting is done by the writing itself instead of the production. It's a beautiful anime, but I think its real charm is the story. That said, I believe My Hero was a much better viewing experience that highlighted key moments in ways only a fantastic director could. And even above that, I would have put Takabe's for the win, because while the story was already devastatingly emotional, it takes a certain level of skill to make something so gut-wrenchingly intense over a mere 6 episodes. Again, I can't be mad, but it's just not what I would have chosen as the winner. For background art, we have the nominees The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, City of the Animation, Dandadan Season 2, Gachiakta, Cow and Generic Romance, and The Summer Hikaru Died. And the winner was Gachiakta. And again, I think this simply won from popularity and being one of the most unique looking anime. The backgrounds basically boil down to piles of trash, decrepit buildings, and clouds. Although, to be fair, the skies were gorgeous. And most other nominees like Cow and Generic Romance, The Summer Hikaru Died, and Dandadan were pretty ordinary but highly detailed in their backgrounds. But I think City the Animation was one of the most creatively bright with its environments and always had something going on. I thought the Apothecary Diaries should have easily won this though, between the constantly changing backgrounds and highly detailed environments. I don't think you could find a more consistently captivating set of backgrounds outside of it. I can understand why Gachiakta won, but I'm still not that happy about it. The Best Romance Anime nominees were Blue Box, Dandadan Season 2, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Honey Lemon Soda, My Dress-Up Darling Season 2, and Rama 1/2 Season 2. And the winner was Fragrant Flower. I'm fully supportive of this one because even though I personally thought Blue Box was better, it was really just because it was twice the length, so it's made a bigger impact. But I'm happy one of the two won. I do want to take a moment to talk about the nominees though, because Blue Box was split between years. So it was nominated this year and last year, which I think is kind of unfair since they didn't specify if it was in halves. Dandadan Season 2, My Dress-Up Darling Season 2, and Rama 1/2 Season 2 were also all kind of weird nominations considering how little romance is actually in their shows. They basically chose great anime that also happened to have romance, rather than a lot of the romance anime that were great. Honey Lemon Soda is also surprising because it was generally considered mid as well. I mean, I liked it, but the fact that judges included it was surprising. Up next is the Best Comedy Anime, and the nominees were City of the Animation, Dandadan Season 2, My Dress-Up Darling Season 2, Rama 1/2 Season 2, Spy Family Season 3, and Witch Watch. And the winner was Dandadan Season 2. And once again, I'm okay with this result. It had a lot of funny scenes, but I fully expected Spy Family Season 3 to run away with this one. Especially with how it utilized the comedy around the much more serious episodes this season. It just makes me wish that when people voted for a certain category, that category is the only criteria they were considering, rather than how great it was in general. Dandadan had a lot of funny moments, but it was just more of the same the show had already brought. City was one I think could have also won if the show had the viewership Nichijou had, although I think it was a lot of hit or miss. Witch Watch was another surprise because there were a plethora of fantastic comedy anime, but this seemed more like one that would be near the middle of the pack, in both my opinion and the general consensus online. Best Action had some good competition, and the nominees were Dandadan Season 2, Gachiakta, Kaiju No. 8 Season 2, My Hero Academia Final Season, One Piece, and Solo Leveling Season 2. And the winner was Solo Leveling Season 2. This was the other category I really expected Solo Leveling to win because that's the epitome of the show, action. This season actually did have an emotional episode, which was surprising on its own, but it was also funny because the viewers were so emotionally devoid that they completely overhated on it because Sung Jin-woo didn't look cool. Personally, I chose My Hero because of how meaningful the action was beyond just looking good, but I can still support Solo Leveling just fine. I think Kaiju No. 8 might have had a better chance if the middle of the show wasn't spent sulking and training for the final fight, which had also ended on a massive cliffhanger. The nominees for Best Isekai Anime were Campfire Cooking in Another World My Absurd Skill Season 2, Disney Twisted Wonderland, From Bureaucrat to Villainess Dad's Been Reincarnated, Konosuba Season 3 Bonus Stage, ReZero Season 3, and Zenshu. And the winner was ReZero Season 3. I personally thought Zenshu deserved it more because of how it utilized the genre as a main mechanic within the plot itself, but ReZero was my number 2. I was also glad this one won because while it wasn't my top pick, it was at least better than most of the other nominees. I really don't know what they were thinking. Campfire Cooking Season 2 is good, but kinda repetitive. From Bureaucrat to Villainess was also pretty good, but didn't hold a candle to the top choices. And most people missed this, but Konosuba was only nominated for the 2 Season 3 OVAs that released, because Season 3 came out in 2024. But by far the worst nominee is Disney Twisted Wonderland. I thought it was a good story, but was really cliche, and the production on it was absolutely subpar. I have no idea why it's here, other than they ran out of isekai they actually watched. And you just know they're the people who complain about there being too many isekai in the first place. Like, where is a wild last boss appeared? I'm at least just happy they had all isekai this time, unlike last year. Up next are the nominees for Best Drama. Anne Shirley, The Apothecary Diary Season 2, Blue Box, Orb on the Movements of the Earth, The Summer Hikaru Died, and Takabe's Original Sin. And the winner was Apothecary Diary Season 2. This has to be the biggest robbery throughout these awards. If there was ever a category for Takabe to win in, it was absolutely drama. That's the entire premise of the show. Emotionally heartbreaking drama and the journey the characters take to confront and finally be able to move on from it. Again, I love Apothecary Diaries, but in terms of drama, it's like the Reader's Digest version compared to Takabe, and I can't forgive the voters that simply didn't watch and have no idea how badly they robbed it. And forget the nominees, they didn't even nominate much better dramas like Medalist or This Monster Wants to Eat Me. I feel like this category was just rage baiting by including a lot of super popular anime over anime that had fantastic drama done right. Hashtag justice for Medalist and This Monster Wants to Eat Me. For the Slice of Life category, we have the most absurd list of nominees I think in the entire show, with Anne Shirley, Blue Box, City the Animation, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, My Dress Up Darling Season 2, and Spy Family Season 3. 4 of these aren't even Slice of Life, which is the silliest part. Blue Box, The Fragrant Flower, and My Dress Up Darling are rom-coms with a little drama. And Spy Family has some Slice of Life elements, but it was way more action comedy than anything Slice of Life. Anne Shirley absolutely deserved this award, and it wasn't even close. It was a fantastic story following her life from childhood to adulthood with all of the lows and highs along the way. It was beautiful as well, and even with the fast pace, kept the story emotionally delivering until the final episode. Even City the Animation would have been a better choice because it was completely about the daily lives of a city that actually feels alive, with many characters, plot threads, and developments twisting together throughout the season. The judges really messed this one up, unfortunately. For Best Main Character, we had the nominees Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia Final Season, Mamao from The Apothecary Diary Season 2, Momo from Dandadan Season 2, Okarun from Dandadan Season 2, Rudo from Gachiakta, and Sung Jin-woo from Solo Leveling. And the winner was Mamao from The Apothecary Diary Season 2. No notes, this was perfectly awarded. Mamao is such a great character that I would argue without her, the anime would be much worse for it. This is the second year in a row I believe she should have won, so I'm ecstatic that she's finally getting her time to shine. The fact Sung Jin-woo won last year and was even nominated again was just insane, and I really hope this is the last we see of him. I did think Deku had a real shot at it, especially with his arc finally coming to a close, but hopefully he came in second. Ruto is also a funny pick because he's like Sung Jin-woo, basically no personality, he's just teen angst and anger. The nominees for Best Supporting Character were Enjin from Gachiakta, Gigi from Dandadan Season 2, Jinshi from The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, Bakugo from My Hero Academia Final Season, Lulan from The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, and Turbo Granny from Dandadan Season 2. And the winner was Bakugo. I was so happy to see this, I seriously would have had a meltdown if he didn't win, and I'm not even a huge fan of the character. Over the course of the 8 seasons, he has had incredible development, and the final season was just the pinnacle of that progress. He surpassed everything he was before and proved his worth not only to himself, but to the world. And let's be honest, he personally gave the world's best ass whooping of the year to the in-world's biggest villain to ever exist. If that didn't earn him Best Supporting Character, I don't know what would. And looking at the other nominees, it seems like they didn't know who stood a chance either, because they're either less prominent characters that did very little, or popular characters you expect to see. And now for the most annoying category. The nominees for Must Protect at All Costs are Anya Forger from Spy Family Season 3, Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia Final Season, Kaoruko Waguri from The Fragrant Flower Blooms Its Dignity, Mama from The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, Suika from Dr. Stone Science Future, and Takabe from Takabe's Original Sin. And the winner, to no one's surprise and my complete dismay, was Anya from Spy Family. Look, I warned you, but if you voted for her, I hate you. She does not need your protection. She was taken hostage in an armed buzzjacking and mostly got through it on her own using her telepathy. Stop choosing her just because it's easy. And really, Deku needs protection? Who made this list? Mamao and Takabe are also characters that could probably protect you before you protect them. Now, Waguri was one I can at least agree with because people were trying to protect her before the anime even released. But you cannot tell me with a straight face that anyone other than Suika should have won this award. Especially because of her arc in Part 2. If that arc didn't break you, I don't know what to tell you, but you're heartless. She spent all of that time completely alone with stone cold reminders of the times when she had her friends, blankly staring her down every single day. And she worked tirelessly through trial and error until she finally succeeded. Even writing this was getting me emotional. So you should feel ashamed for choosing Anya, and that's all there is to it. For Best Anime Song, the nominees were Bloom by Lewis Ikuta from The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, Iris Out by Kenshi Yonezu from Chainsaw Man the Movie Reze Arc, On the Way by Aina the End from Dandadan Season 2, Rewaker by Elisa from Soul Loving Season 2, and Watch Me by Yaosobi from Witch Watch. And the winner was Iris Out by Kenshi Yonezu from Chainsaw Man the Movie Reze Arc. This isn't too surprising considering how popular it was as both just a song and in terms of social media presence and trends. I liked all of these songs as well, so I don't really have a favorite to choose from, although there were tons of other songs I also would have liked to see nominated. Up next is Best Anime Score, and the nominees were The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, Chainsaw Man the Movie Reze Arc, Dandadan Season 2, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1, Gachiakta, and Soul Loving Season 2. And the winner was Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1. Now, musical scores for anime are pretty low on my criteria when rating them, but I'll notice when they're really good or really bad. All of these anime had good scores, so I was fine with any of them, but Demon Slayer definitely stood out the entire movie. Especially when they were moving throughout the Infinity Castle, so I can fully get behind this winner. I think the Chainsaw Man movie was another I really enjoyed to where it stuck out to me, but it won Best Song, so I think this is a fair result. The next category is Anime Opening Sequence, and the nominees were Hugs by Pale Dusk from Gachiakta, Mirage by Creepy Nuts from Call of the Night Season 2, On the Way by Aina the End from Dandadan Season 2, Rewaker by Lisa from Soul Loving Season 2, The Revo by Pornography from My Hero Academia Final Season, and Watch Me by Yaosobi from Witch Watch. And the winner was On the Way by Aina the End from Dandadan Season 2. Now, since this is considering the entire opening sequence, which is not just the song but the visuals as well, I think this was a fine choice. The song was solid and they even worked in some nice messaging into the visuals for a great follow-up after Season 1. Personally, I like Mirage by Creepynuts more though. I just think the song was a lot better and the visuals were about equal quality. I'm still blown away by how often they come out with anime banger after anime banger. And that's 2 consecutive wins for them just on Call of the Night itself. But all of the openings mentioned were impressive. Actually, hold up, I was just writing the script for the next category when I remembered One Piece opening 27 Angel and Devil by Green Boys. It came out last year, and where the hell is that nomination? You can't tell me anyone who loves One Piece wasn't obsessed with that opening and how fantastic it was. I'm just now remembering it, and I feel ashamed of myself. And what's an opening without an ending? I mean, still an opening, I guess, but you know what I mean. The nominees were Actor by Louis Ikuda from Spy Family Season 3, Beautiful Colors by One Republic from Kaiju Number 8, Dokashiteru by Wirtz from Dandadan Season 2, I by Bump of Chicken from My Hero Academia Final Season, Kawaii Kawaii from Piki from My Joseph Darling Season 2, and Unapex by TK from Link Toste Sengure from Soul Loving Season 2. And the winner was I by Bump of Chicken from My Hero Academia Final Season. I didn't really have any notes about this one. This was another great win, and they were all fantastic endings. It was hard for me to even choose which one I wanted. And for the final category I know anything about, Best Japanese VA Performance. The nominees were Aoyuki as Mao from The Apothecary Diary Season 2, Chiaki Kobayashi as Yoshiki Tsujinaka from The Summer Hikaru Died, Daiki Yamashita as Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia Final Season, Kikunosuke Toya as Denji from Chainsaw Man the Movie Reze Arc, Mayumi Tanaka as Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, and Reina Ueda as Reze from Chainsaw Man the Movie Reze Arc. And the winner was Aoyuki as Mao from The Apothecary Diary Season 2. This was actually the second year in a row she has won this award, and it was well deserved. She has totally brought the role to life, and it wouldn't feel the same without her. I was also partial to Luffy's VA and Deku's, so really if any of them won, I was going to be happy. Not that anyone here has done bad work, of course, these are just my favorites. There were plenty of other voice artist performance awards, but I know absolutely nothing about them and know I will completely destroy most of their names, so I'll just put the winners up on the screen to show all of the fantastic voice artists out there delivering great performances. Now with all of that said, here are the total count of awards for all of the winners during the 2026 Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I organized it by the total number of awards, including the voice acting ones, and in parentheses are the total not including them for anyone interested. And it looks like the big winner of the 2026 Crunchyroll Anime Awards is Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1 with 7 total awards. Congratulations to them and everyone who worked hard on it. And congratulations to all of the other winners as well. If it wasn't for the incredible work done by tens of thousands every year, we wouldn't be able to enjoy such an amazing medium. And that's it for the winners and pretty much everything I wanted to say on the matter. So let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. I'd love to hear why you thought certain anime should or shouldn't have won an award or even been nominated in the first place. I mean, I can't be the only one that thought the show was absolutely stolen from Takabe's original Sing, can I? Thanks for sticking with me to the end and follow for my news, reviews, and recommendations.